Now going to John Day, Oregon, where Joe Biggs and David Knight are reporting on the latest developments. We're going to go over what's happened, obviously, 3 days ago. This poor gentleman, Lavoie, got shot while jumping out of his car, saying, reportedly, don't shoot. There were questions about, did he almost run over an officer? But it looks like the officer kind of jumps in front of the car. Then they said that he looked like he went in his jacket. We've watched probably 20 times, and Richard's going to pop in, that it looks like he is doing something in his jacket or something. Regardless, the feds are in the wrong stealing the property. We don't know what really happened. It's a tragedy, but we're trying to find out. That's why David Knight's there with witnesses and others. Let's go to David Knight in Oregon. David, I see you've got somebody there to interview. Tell us the latest.
David Knight for Infowars.com. We're here in John Day, Oregon. We came here mainly because I wanted to talk to this man. This is Tad Alp. And he is the one who organized the meeting that Ammon Bundy and Lavoie Finicum and others were on their way to when they ran into the blockade. They were arrested. Lavoie was killed. What was really dangerous about this was that they had 400 people, and they had been going around in different locations talking to people about what they could do to stop what is going on. Now, in our backdrop here, what Tad has brought us up here to show us is the massive devastation of wildfires that happened this last summer. We're standing on his property, and he has pretty much lost everything. He's worked hard, set aside. This is his life savings. You can't insure a forest like this, a private forest, and this is the out-of-control, quote-unquote, management of the Forest Service.
David Knight, for radio listeners, it looks like Mount St. Helens just went off. It looks like a fire-breathing dragon just annihilated. I see black hills with just a few sprigs like Bastrop, and we had fires outside Austin. I mean, how bad is it for radio listeners?
Oh, it is absolutely devastating. Let me let him tell you a little bit about the devastation. We've been walking around here shooting some other video. We're going to upload it as a more detailed report. But he said when the NASA satellites were looking at this, he said it looked like it was a couple of nuclear explosions in terms of the heat that was released from this fire. Tell us a little bit about the actual fire itself.
This was actually 2 fires, and what happened is they piddled with these fires for 3 days. The U.S. Forest Service did. In fact, they were initially lightning strike fires, but they pulled people off both fires overnight, and these fires got away from what's happened. And then the wind came, a little bit of wind came up. Well, then these fires fed each other, and they created their own winds. And the one fire burned across the canyon here, it took out 7,000 or 8,000 acres in an hour. And what it did, it sucked another fire. The other fire was 14 miles away, and it sucked it in here. And by the time it got to my property here, it had winds that were exceeding 100 miles an hour.
Now, we talked about the backfires and, of course, the Hammonds.
Your Skype just broke up for a moment. Yeah. David, you're about to be back in just a moment. I'll just fill him in. Okay, your Skype's breaking up. Hold just a moment until it stabilizes again. For those that don't know, the big fight in the West for the last 20, 30 years is the environmental groups that have taken over won't let them cut fire breaks on their own property or even on the towns of all these dead trees that are dead tender on the ground. So when fires get going and there's high winds, it just turns into an inferno, races across, and so people end up, getting permits and things to burn fire breaks. Well, if it then gets off their property and gets onto the feds, they won't come and help, and then they indict you and claim you're involved in arson, okay? And of course, everybody else is doing controlled burns. They didn't get in trouble when they have their fires get out of control. This is part of fire mediation. So David Knight is back. David, please continue.
Yes, Alex, the point we're making was, as we were waiting, most of this area were backfires. And, of course, they sent the Hammond family to jail. They want to send them older.
Yeah. David, we're going to have to stabilize again. There's no feed there. Skype's a great technology. It's wonderful, takes us anywhere, but it does have problems occasionally. They may have to move to higher ground. We may have to go phone. They can just tape an interview with this gentleman, and then we can get that out to you that way in living HD. Of course, I'm sure they're already doing that. But again, just seeing the devastation, it was just looked like Smog the Dragon had descended on a small Middle-earth village and blasted it into a war zone. and then we're going to recap for you what's happened there and the latest and who's inside and what we're hearing. That's or I'll go to the news and get that information. I've got it here in the stacks. But the Bundys were coming to talk to that group that night, and then obviously the feds moved in on them. They ran into a snowbank, and then one of the guys got out and he got shot. A real tragedy. Okay, I believe we have Skype back, David. Let's finish up with what happened with the fire breaks, and please give us an update on exactly what the latest is with the standoff.
We're going to go into Burns as soon as we're finished here. We wanted to get the backstory of what's going on here.
Awesome. Please continue then. You've got good Skype now.
Okay, good. What I wanted to say was they made a big deal out of 139 acres that were burned as a backburn, a control technique. But tell us about what happened here in terms of the backburns that were being set by the Forestry Service.
Well, you know, I've fought fire for probably over 30 years off and on. The Forest Service is so out of control on their backburning. I mean, from here, from basically the front face of the Strawberry Mountain Range here up to Prairie City for a number of miles, that's all backburns. And they burnt homes even, you know, they're from their backburns gone wrong there.
So as we looked around at this, Tad was pointing out, he said, virtually all of this area around here, Alex, was burned in terms of backburns. So this was something that was set by the government itself, and yet for 139 acres where they were trying to protect their family, their private property, they got a little bit out of control. They're sending these people to jail for 5 years minimum. It's absolutely amazing.
So to be clear, you must do these fire breaks. And, of course, the government lets you do it here in Texas because the feds don't have much land. The state's like, yeah, we'll give you better insurance rates if you do. But when the feds do it, they're countermanding what was policy until 30 years ago, correct? I mean, this man's the expert, correct. But I followed it. I mean, wasn't it the policy before, you know, to have folks ask them to do this? They would organize locals to work with the government to do it?
Wasn't it the policy before to have locals work with the government to do some controlled backburns like we saw happen with the him?
Well, they do what they call prescribed burning here a lot, you know, and that's not nothing to do with the forest fire. But, I mean, they get those prescribed burns they do always get away from them. They always burn more. They always kill more timber.
Now, let me tell you one of the things that Mr. Haupt told me, and he's an elected official here, so he's been going around with the Forest Service trying to get them to do better management. But let me give you an example because I think it's very telling. They have an arbitrary rule here in this particular county where they cannot cut a tree that is more than 21 inches in diameter, and that includes trees, Alex, that have burned. So these are dead trees, and they won't let them cut those down. Now, eventually, they're going to fall down, and they're going to become more fuel. And as we
exactly. They won't let them sell the resource. That's incredible.
Exactly. So what they're doing is, instead of allowing these people to earn a living, and they've gone from a population of about 8,000 to about 3,000, is that correct here locally?
Just in labor. We have almost the same population as we had 40 years ago, but the labor force is less than half.
They're depopulating the workforce. Ask him overall what he thinks about the Bundys and where he thinks this is all going.
He wants to know what you think overall about what's happening with the Bundys and where this is all headed in terms of, you see a resolution in sight? Or?
I sure hope so. The people are fed up with what's going on. I mean, the arbitrary rules they're making, the illegal activities of the state police and the FBI. I mean, they literally murdered that fella coming to my meeting and illegally arrested him, hauled him out of the county, which is a constitutional violation of their rights. They were scared to death of them speaking at my meeting. And they weren't going to be the only speaker. I was going to be a speaker too. And the people need to know the truth about this.
Yeah.
Well, tell him he's talking to millions of people right now, David, and then you can come back, please, sir. Tell him, say what he wanted to say at the meeting now, and then ask him the key question. Did the majority of people support the Bundys in the area? Because it sounds like they did.
He wants to know, you're speaking to millions of people now, so here's an opportunity for you not to just talk to 400 people, but to millions of people. Tell us what you wanted to tell them at the meeting. Of course, you have to condense it because we have a limited amount of time. And were most of the people there supportive of what the Bundys were telling them? Were they concerned about what's happening?
Well, at the meeting, we were going to explain to people what their constitutional rights were. And we have the people have all the power and authority, all of it, 100%. The government doesn't have it. When we have the authority if government isn't doing what we want them to do, to remove that government. And if that's what it's going to take, I mean, it's evident that the government's scared to death with the people are going to understand what their rights are.
And I would also add, Alex, as we were standing here talking to Mr. Haupt, he pointed to these mountains and he goes, this is the largest source of chromium in the world. And of course, there's uranium here. There's all these mineral rights that are beneath the surface. Once they remove the ranchers, once they remove the mining rights of people, once they remove the loggers,
it's what they do all over the world.
We've seen what happens. We've seen what Harry Reid has been able to do with this. We've seen what John McCain's been able to do with this out in Arizona. They sell it to a large foreign corporation. They sell them surface rights, or they sell them the rights to the minerals, the copper, in the particular case of Arizona. That is the end game, is to lock everybody out.
Absolutely.
To destroy this, not to preserve it as a recreational area, as many of the environmentalists or the people in the cities think this is going to happen. This is deliberate mismanagement. They would rather burn this place down.
That's right.
And burn these people out to clear the people who have
David, you're right.
rights.
You're absolutely right. That's the globalist plan. That's what we expose in America Destroyed by Design, the film. It's free online, folks. Watch it. My first film, 1997. Let's let him for a few minutes here, and then because this is important. I'm glad you did this. This is great. I want to expand, though, because you're there, find out what the latest with this group saying they're going to stay there and die. I don't want a new Waco. I don't know what's going on with that, and you and Biggs ahead of our next guest coming on. But ask him what else he wanted to impart mainly at that meeting that he didn't, that he wasn't able to do.
All right. Alex wants to know, what else would you have told people at that meeting? What would you tell them to do? What was the plan of action?
Well, we were going to just show the people what their options, what options we have on dealing with the corruption in our local, state, and federal government here. It's not just the federal government. The Oregon state government is just as bad or worse. And that's what was to be an informative meeting because a lot of people don't know what their rights are. And I mean, they've been dumbed down, they've been beat over the head, on, oh, you can't do that because that's the state government, or you can't do that because it's a federal government. And that's not the truth.
You said your mother lost her claim, her rights to what she was doing because she filed paperwork one day late.
But she'd actually never filed it a day late. And that's what they said, but they changed the rule, and we were later told by a BLM official that it was specifically to get rid of that mining claim, get it off the books, because it was the oldest perpetually held mining claim in the state of Oregon.
Sure. What they do is they put it into a non-legal process, have you sign into the process, and then when they say you didn't do it right, they take your right contractually. You're absolutely right. I want to come back and hear more from him and David Knight, and then I want to learn the latest on the standoff straight ahead. And then we've got the economy, the Zika virus. Is it a bioweapon? Top expert says yes. Boy, this is just getting crazy. Hundreds of thousands getting it. Could bring martial law to many areas of Latin America. Just all craziness breaking loose around the world. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Going back to David Knight, who's talking to a local representative there in the local government, talking about the out-of-control federal government and the types of activities that they're engaged in. Finishing up, David Knight.
Yes, Alex, I wanted Tad Haupt to talk about the fact that we've heard from a lot of state officials, heard from the FBI. These are dangerous people. The community was afraid of them. They had 400 people who were gathered here to talk to them. I don't think they were afraid. I want him to talk to you about the character of the people that he knew. And, of course, there's different people that are there.
Sure. What's his dead reckoning on the percentage in the county that supported the Bundys? Just dead reckoning.
What's your dead reckoning on the percentage of the people who supported the Bundys?
In the county.
Oh.
In the county.
In the county?
Yeah, around here.
I'd say 80%, 80 to 90%.
Wow.
Talk a little bit about what you thought of them personally, and were you afraid of them?
Absolutely not afraid of them. They were great people. I associated with Brian Payne, and he's a patriot, and then other militia people there. They were good, honest, hardworking people that loved their country, loved their neighbors and friends, and they've had a great injustice done against them, and we can't stop, supporting them, and we need to push on. And these people that murdered the one fellow there, he was a great guy, and he had better personality and character than the guys that shot him. it's known here in Eastern Oregon that our state police is very militant-like and almost Gestapo style. And I mean, we've had lots of problems in the past in this county with the state police. And I doubt the FBI is much better from seeing their actions.
Well, I know this. It seems like in rural areas now, around federal land is where they're really mean. I've never seen such mean park rangers as at Big Bend towards citizens. And then in other rural areas, it seems like they think the locals are their property because they've got 90% of the land. So just amazing. Do an in-depth HD interview with this guy for the Nightly News. Obviously, David, great job. Be safe. Glad you guys are coming back tomorrow. We're going to come back, but absolutely, it looks like they killed this guy in cold blood. Needs to be an investigation. That's why I got mad at the Bundys, because I knew they were being set up, folks. But we need to support land rights movements in this country. I got mad because I love those people. David Knight was there and almost got killed in Nevada, you know, standing up for the First Amendment. He knows. I mean, but it makes me mad to see him set up. That's right. Coming up, the incredible interview live with Francis Boyle, the biological weapons expert, wrote the U.S. and UN treaties on it, saying Zika looks like it is a race-specific or system designed to cause infertility and deformities. And he's got some suspects, and they're the usual suspects. That is coming up at the bottom of the hour. Joe Biggs out there reporting with David Knight, doing an excellent job. The reports they've been filing are just top-notch to really show what's happening on the ground. He's analyzed the footage from the helicopter of the Lavoie being shot. I want to get into that, but I also want to spend some time on what's happening at that federal facility, at that wildlife preserve, with the people inside that I've seen saying that, you know, they're all going to die, it's going to be a bloodbath, all this crazy talk. I mean, is that provocateurs in there? And what are they doing with a pregnant woman in there? Because, again, I'm against what the feds are doing, but my gosh, I mean, the tactics of some of the people this whole time are like they're written in central casting to demonize the liberty movement. Joe Biggs?
Joe Biggs here, Infowars.com. We're in John Day, Oregon, standing on top of a mountain where we've been interviewing some of the locals. Now, what's going on back at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge? There is currently 4 people holed up at that facility. There's 3 males and 1 pregnant woman. Now, the pregnant woman is married to one of the men that are there, that I've been told. And, I mean, at the end of the day, we know how women are, Alex. You know, you're not going to go out there and do that by yourself. You know, you're going to get hurt. If you go down, I'm going with you. So it could be on her as well. I mean, I doubt.
No, I hear you. Like, I hear you.
Hey guys,
I just wouldn't take my wife to it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wouldn't either. But you know how women can be crazy, and you know that.
Wait a minute. You're saying women can be crazy? No.
You know. So, but here's the thing, though. What we know today at this exact point in time is that these 4 are in there. There's a YouTube guy in there, David Fry, I think his name, and he's had this live stream going for the past few days, ever since the Bundys have been taken, and up and before that for a little bit. You could, if you watch some of the live stream footage, they've called for, you know, if the FBI comes in there, they're going to shoot them. They're going to do all this. It's been very provocative stuff.
And then somebody walks up and says, here's your release form. It looks like, they look like bad actors.
Yeah, it's really weird what's going on there at this point in time. You'd think that after Ammon being arrested, being held in a federal facility in Portland, that this would all just come to an end. And now you've got people in there actually making it worse, making it look worse. It's pretty ridiculous.
I'm not saying this, but the Southern Poverty Law Center ran the white supremacist compound that McVeigh was out of. We're going to come back and talk more about this briefly with you and get into the shooting and show some of the footage of that and break it down. But you could just have the leftovers with the provocateurs, the feds, the foundation operatives, or at least 1 or more left in there running. And in fact, I think there's a chance of that, a pretty good one, Joe, with this type of behavior.
I mean, there's definitely a possibility. Like I said, I don't personally know the people who are in there, so I can't speak on, you know, who they are, what their integrity is. Well, I've seen
the feds pull stuff like this, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, it does happen, and it's definitely something, an angle to look at when you're looking at this. But they've come out, and before their social media was disconnected this morning, one of the guys came out, spoke to a reporter out of New York, I believe, and said that, hey, is like, we would rather die here than go to prison. And they said that's the stance they're making now at this point in time. I spoke to some people in the Pacific Patriot Network early this morning, probably around 7 o'clock our time, who said that their social media accounts, the people inside the compound, have been cut off, so they've lost contact with them that way. And this Pacific Patriot Network has also called on all militiamen, you know, in this region to send down on Burns and to go out there and support of what they say are these 4 people there holding and trying to continue what Ammon started.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're nice people. I don't know who they are, but they should be looked into. And then obviously the globalist, the foundation, Mercs, foreign countries, could come in and then shoot somebody, shoot feds, shoot police, shoot state police, and then all hell will start breaking loose. And then Obama can sit up there and say, turn in your guns because of the evil white terrorist, Al-Qaeda. I want to talk to you, Joe, for 5 more minutes on the other side, then I'll let you get to those important HD reports you're doing. But your Skype looks great there. It's just now gone HD for us. So we're going to come back and get into that and where you think all this is going. Former Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs joining us. I say that when he gets into some type of paramilitary stuff he's covering because he has expertise to go over it. Then I'll get a final take from him on the debate last night. Stay with us. It is so cold out there in Oregon where our Infowars.com reporters, Joe Biggs and David Ninar, that their equipment just froze up and quit working. So I'm going to try to get Joe to call back in and finish up his report on the situation deteriorating out there with the standoff and people saying they're going to fight and die inside and, the revolution's going to start there and all this business. Just not good timing, not a good time for this to happen in my view. I think that strategy is pretty clear to anybody. We're starting to win in the information war. We're starting to wake up the police and military. We're starting to expose the areas and agencies that are rogue. We're having big effects. And so I've been telling you this for years. The globalists want to start a war with the militia and the government and then tie that to the whole liberty movement to start going around persecuting people. They keep saying Homeland Security is for the veterans, gun owners, rural activists, land rights activists, gun owners, all that. And so it's here. And I've been on air for 20-plus years, and I have seen this over and over and over again, and I've learned the tactics of these people. You can say what you want about George Bush and the Republicans because they were bad news. But they didn't do all this when they were in office like the Democrats do. When they're in office, this is the stuff they pull constantly. And I personally, repeatedly, have had U.S. military personnel try to commit crimes right in front of me to say I did it. And Mike Hansen's a witness to it both times. And part of it's on tape in my film, Police Stay to the Takeover. And I mean, it is hardcore that you say, wait, you said the military's waking up is good. That was like 17 years ago, that one particular case. And we've been educating them. All I know is they don't do it anymore for a long time. I have to deal with foundation operatives instead. It's not FBI. It's not ATF. It's not federal marshals screwing with me. It's not local police. It's not state police. It is foundation operatives that literally command the police, and they sit there and tell folks who their enemies are. In fact, in these indictments, and I guess they haven't released any of the people yet on bail, they say we got it all from open source document groups. Well, I could go get toilet paper in there and say I got from it that, the police chief of Austin is a space alien. Doesn't mean it's true. Or that I'm, from Timbuktu. Going back to Joe Biggs. Joe, amazing reporting by you and David out there talking to the local commissioners and people. And I know you've talked to a lot of folks on video. You're putting a video together to show what the locals really stand for. Do you agree with that local official statement that 80% supported the Bundys?
Well, of course. I mean, when you look at the amount of people who actually live in this, town, and the fact they had 400 people who were willing to come out, I mean, that says a lot, especially when you have a lot of government workers who are here. I mean, so, the whole mainstream narrative that we keep getting saying that the people in these towns, Burns, all this, do not support what's going on, that's hogwash. All these people here are affected by the BLM on a daily basis. This guy just took us on a trip down the road through the mountains here. There's over 50 homes that have been burnt and demolished because of what the Forestry Service has done in the BLM.
Joe, I want to go to Big Ben with you because that's something you brought up, wanting to show what's going on there. But they let the illegals walk right across, come into the country right in front of you, and then even up by the motel, by the park facilities, the rangers themselves are nice, but then the police rangers are rude to families, rude to me, rude to people by a creek. I mean, I've seen them just walk up to a couple that's just sitting there holding hands and hugging each other and go, "What are you doing?" And I mean, it's like something I've been in, places like Nicaragua and dangerous areas of Europe and Mexico and places. And I mean, the police don't act this thuggish. they'll just go like, please give me tip, $20, $30, or I give you ticket, and you're like, okay, or I'll pay you off. That's bad enough. Here, it's just like they've trained them somehow, and most police aren't like this, but these federal parks and federal lands goons are hired, just like the TSA ad said in Seattle a few years ago. We want you to be imperious and aggressive. Well, imperious means imperial. I rule you. That's how a slave master acts with their slave. And man, it's just, I bet the locals are mad, but they want them, admittedly, depopulated, run out of there so multinationals can come in with Chinese workers. And I'm serious. Joe, your take on that and this ongoing situation, anything else you've learned? Are they going to let them out on bail, the hearings, and then what's next? I know you guys are coming home.
Yeah, so that's definitely true. I mean, these guys do bully people. I mean, they're pushing people around. They have this sadistic look in their eyes when they get off on it. Everyone, when you look at the video, you look at the scenario with this, they knew that the Bundys were going around and giving these speeches. They were trying to inform people on what's going on because truth is power. Knowledge is power. That gives you more ammunition than actual weapons.
Do you think they killed this guy to shut up the First Amendment, or do you think they did it because they were scared?
I think that they took this opportunity because they knew they were going to have to go. It's about an hour and a half away from Burns. There's a lot of straightaways from the population where there is nobody. There's no cell phone service, nothing. And they used that, and they knew they were going to be there, and they sat there. When you actually see Lavoie come out of the vehicle, there's a guy that like pops up out of the snow out of the middle of the woods and shoots this guy down. I mean, they planned this. This was a predetermined thing to take one of these guys out. They wanted to make an example of it, and they wanted to send a message to the rest of these patriots out here that if you stand up against the government, we're going to come and do this to you. It's a bully tactic.
Well, I hope that all the people involved in this understand that Soros and the globalists and others have trained them to act like thugs because they want to have a civil war in this country, and they're going to be betrayed by their bosses if this thing kicks off. This thing is meant to chew them up. That's why they give them armored vehicles and training to make them feel like they're invincible. If a civil war starts, it's like moose hunting. There won't be enough tags out there for all the, goons to be hunted because, somebody goes out, gets a goon, and then disappears forever, and then it's total resistance. It's over for the enforcers. I don't want to have this war, and I don't want it to be projected onto the average beat cop either because that's the plan. But I'm telling them, if they're dumb enough to follow the Southern Poverty Law Center's directives and the Ford Foundation and really want to keep acting like this, it's going to get bad. Now, people ask me, well, wait, you're mad at the Bundys, but you're also mad at the feds. Yes, I don't want this civil war. The feds are wrong. They're stealing. We supported the Bundys. In Nevada, what David Knight did was incredible with Josh Owens. I mean, they deserve, a medal for that. That was dangerous. The feds saying, we're going to shoot you if you cross the line. They didn't because they hadn't had time to have provocateurs inside to shoot their mouths off and lead a smaller group into a building. It was out in the open. It was happening spontaneously, so the feds couldn't manage it and have their operatives say violent stuff and project it onto the group. And so men in army uniforms basically aiming their machine guns, aiming their assault rifles at people on horseback with their guns down, march across, and they had to back down. And that's how it's done. And if they'd have shot those people, Lexington and Concord Part 2 could have started right there. We would have had the moral high ground. I wouldn't want that to happen, because we're winning the info war, in my view. But I'm telling you, it's a lot better than it's starting here, where we look like the redcoats to the average Dumbo out there. Joe Biggs?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think this is going to spark a revolution right now at this point in time, I'll tell you that. But what I do see happening is the fact that now you have a lot of people, and I've spoken to some people here on the ground who are extremely, I'm telling you, so angry with these Oregon State cops that the word has been that they said there will be retribution. And that's the scary part, is the backlash of this happening, people looking at what happened with Lavoie Finicum and then reacting, and then you just have this whole, it's a whole more demonization of the Patriot movement, saying these guys
that will make the state police.
They are domestic terrorists. This is white terror. We've got to get a hold on this whole thing. And it's just the whole issue with what happened here in Oregon was bad timing, wrong place, wrong time.
I agree with you. I'm going to try to cue up the video after you leave of the compilation of the Oregon cop, the Washington police, the Indianapolis police, and others saying, we need these armored vehicles for the coming war with the veterans and the militias and the patriots and the conservatives. And that's exactly the simulation where they just get us and teach us to line up and have a war with each other. And it's so stupid. And it's just mindless. I hope that there's some way to educate these people. But, you know, I know that a lot of the federal park police and land police act like goons. I've seen it myself. I mean, they act like unspeakable third world police. They are a shame on America. What about these state police? I mean, you know, they vary around the country. I mean, ours aren't that, you know, bad here in Texas. In my view, a lot of good people, some bad, but overall pretty good. I mean, is it true what locals are saying, that they're basically foaming at the mouth as well?
I mean, from what I've talked to a few people, they're saying that they are. They're pretty bad. You know, every time I speak to somebody, the word militant comes up. They say that these state police are militant individuals. And, you know, red, white, and blue is supposed to represent freedom. But every time you see that red, white, and blue light flash behind your car, people tend to get scared when they have one of these state policemen pull them over. You know, they don't feel safe. They don't feel that freedom. They feel like something bad is about to happen.
Well, I hope that the globalists are defeated in what they're trying to do. Joe Biggs, I know you've got a lot more you're going to do before you fly back tomorrow. And so we'll see those reports filed on InfoWars Nightly News tonight at 7 o'clock and right through the weekend with videos up at InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing. In the 60 seconds we have left, we had a little too much fun last night on the debate. It turned into a comedy show with me kind of the center of it. But it was kind of dumb, all of it together. The Trump thing was kind of weird, but overall I think he won. What do you think happened?
Like I said, you know, I think Rand Paul did really well at his debate. He was there. I think he kind of took control of that. There was a lot of polls that said he leaded the whole thing. My thing with Trump is that he says a lot of stuff and he never comes out with a big plan. So instead of saying let's make America great again, let's lay a plan out how to make America great again, so you can get more people like me who might be on the fence that are skeptical to going ahead and going for that final push, and I'd be willing to vote for him. So I want to see a good, solid plan by Donald Trump. And I want to see him lay that out to the public. And, you know, at that point in time, I'll be convinced if I see it and I like it and I believe in it, and I'm there.
All right, Joe Biggs reporting from Oregon. You and David, be safe. And I'll obviously see you back here on Sunday. If you guys want to pop in for 30 minutes on the Sunday show with kind of a retrospective, we'll know more then with the ongoing standoff. They could become a new Waco. Stay with us, folks. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction. Easy assembly. Low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.